I often talk about one of the jobs I had. At about 5 minutes to five, it sounded like the Indy 500 out in the parking lot because all the cars, 200 and something cars, they'd all start up because they were that close to sliding down the dinosaur and getting the hell out of there. And then we had about a third of the population were military guys.
Fred Flintstone reference. I
Yeah,
love it.
sorry, I
First
had to
one
throw
of
that
the
in there.
4 years of the podcast.
Oh my God, the Fred Flintstone. Well done, Marty. Well, we've all dated ourselves, everybody. That's right. You're getting great knowledge from Marty Strong. Slide down the dinosaur. If you don't know what that is, go look it up. It's a Fred Flintstone reference.
It's how he leaves work.
Welcome to the Small Business Safari, where I help guide you to avoid those traps, pitfalls, and dangers that lurk when navigating the wild world of small business ownership. I'll share those gold nuggets of information and invite guests to help accelerate your ascent to that mountaintop of success. It's a jungle out there, and I want to help you traverse through the levels of owning your own business that can get you bogged down and distract you from hitting your own personal and professional goals. So strap in, adventure team, and let's take a ride through the safari and get you to the mountaintop. Did you just say IQ, Alan?
I did.
He did say IQ. I can't even spell IQ. Wait, I did. Oh,
It's got too many letters.
oh my God, that's a lot of letters. Guys, another great week. We got to get moving. I'll tell you what, every week brings a new and unique challenge. 17 years in business, Alan. I've had one customer lawsuit. And I just
That's
had.
amazing because you have a high transaction volume.
Hang on. That's right, everybody. I just knocked down wood. That's right. I mean, we do over 2,500 transactions a year in the home services business, handyman, and remodeling. And I had one completely unscrupulous piece of shit. I can't even say, there's no other word. I started with a big word. I can't even take it. We knew right off the rip that it was going to be bad. And we did everything we could to get it. And it was a finance deal. And he denied the last half of the finance payment. We put a lien on the house. He sued me. I sued him. A year later, I didn't get 15 grand out. I just got all my legal fees back. That's all I got. How'd I do? And by the way,
Did you just find that out right before we got on with our guest?
Yeah.
Okay, so you just had to kind of vomit that out there.
I did.
And it
Because
has
you know
nothing
what?
to do with our guest.
Even 17 years in business, as successful as you think I'm going, the Trusted Toolbox in Atlanta and Athens doing, over 5 million a year. Yay. Wow.
Pretend this is a damn it doll.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm so pissed right now. It's not even funny. Is that these guys got away with it. You know what? And those people are out there and they're bad people. And if you saw the work, which we had pictures, testimonial, we had the contract, we're all in place. And even my lawyer said, we could do this, but if we end up recovering the lost money, you'll end up just paying me.
As my mom said, God is on his throne. We have a guest here.
Oh, that's right. Let's get back to it. I'm just so mad right now. All right. No, I'm not going to be mad. I'm going to be happy. I'm back. I got the damn it doll out. Guys, we got a great guest for you today.
Given what this guy has seen and done in his life.
He's like, what are you doing? Why are you even
Really?
mad?
Why are you mad about that?
Seriously,
your
bro.
blood pressure went up for a second?
Did you have a pimple on your ass too? I mean, come on. Seriously. Grow up, son.
I wasn't thinking any of that. I was thinking those are some really nice rattan stools back there.
Hey, that's what I wanted to hear. See, we're doing this from that bar in my basement, bro. Loving it. Marty Strong, welcome to the show.
Marty.
Thanks for having me.
All right, man. All right. So we're going to go back to the background in a minute, but tell us what you do right now.
I do two things. My main job is I'm the CEO of a veterans foundation called Warriors Haven USA, which focuses on vocational training, kind of blue collar trades, and we have a business academy too for veterans that are either starting a business or are getting stuck in some aspects of their business journey, and we do it all in Florida.
You're all in Florida. So let's pump that group up because we do have a lot of veterans that do listen to this show because I get pinged by them quite a bit. So what can they find out in Florida and get some help?
Well, for our particular program, you just go to warriorshavenusa.com. The website shows all the programs. The Business Academy is virtual. There's really no need to lock it down to a wood shop or a metal shop or anything like that. But we also have a culinary program, and we have equine and canine therapy. So, and there's 3 levels. There's kind of come in, have a good time for a day, learn a little bit about either woodworking or metalworking or, the culinary environment, or do the equine thing, whatever. But then level 2 is anywhere from a week to a month where you actually come away with some actual skills, some practicable skills. Level 3, you're basically being trained to be an apprentice to onboard into somebody's company, which we've lined up a lot of companies, corporations that are ready to take veterans on.
It's a great website. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, but
Unfortunately, I didn't.
Yeah, no,
But
I
just
encourage
definitely
anybody to
was a
take a
good
look.
deal.
It's really cool. The programs that you picked, I was like, wow, those are some really interesting and varied things that you offer. Was there a rhyme or reason behind that? I'm assuming there was, but or was it just something that the people on your organization had an affinity for, a skill set that they could, or did you find that it provided the most value to the people that were coming to the program?
So my co-founder, Pete Gary, it was his brainchild, and he went ahead, and we've both been on lots and lots of veterans boards. All 10 of my novels, all the proceeds go to the SEAL Veterans Foundation. So we've been involved in charitable events and activities at many, many levels for a long time. He's a former 8-year Force Recon Marine, and we've known each other since 1994, so we've been friends. He grew up in a construction family. His whole family learned the trades. Everybody had to have a hammer or a screw in their hands as soon as they could walk. So he's always loved that, but he never worked in it. He went in the Marine Corps, then he went to 2 years of Culinary Institute, and then he decided to sell cars. And then he really did well at that. I mean, really, really well. And eventually started advertising businesses and other things. So we've kind of come together. I just finished a stint as the CEO of a healthcare company, like the last 13 years. So we're kind of coming together. What do we want to do that's a little bit more fun, a little bit more meaningful, a little more hands-on? And he did some marketing research to figure out, where's the gap, where's the lane that isn't covered very well in veteran services. And it turns out there's a lot of things that are covered really well, and a lot of great groups out there that are doing great work in those lanes. But there's kind of this weird little underutilized area, and it's anything to do with the blue collar trades. So if you're going to bend metal, or you're going to cut wood, if you're going to do anything like that, if you're going to be an electrician, it's just kind of not there. And thing was like there's no veteran vote tech program writ large for the federal government or states. What they do, you go through hundreds of grants, and the grants are all focused on giving $10,000 or whatever, so you can go to college.
Mm.
Right. So, and there's okay, that works. That's fine too. But as you well know, especially anybody that's looked for a plumber and paid a plumber in the last 5, 6 years, they're the ones that are driving the sports cars and living in the big fancy houses. Blue collar is the new blue chip. So that's kind of why we
Amen,
focus
brother.
That's why
Amen.
we focus in this area.
This is a solution to the problem. I mean, there's just not enough people going into the trades.
No, 100%. So I have a remodeling and handyman business here in Atlanta and in Athens, Georgia, and I've been doing it for 17 years. And yes, the answer is not enough people go in the trades. Here's the cool thing. Actually, this year was the first year where enrollment in colleges, 4-year colleges, went down and trade schools actually went up. First time in, I forget the number, but I read an article, and I got to find this one, and I promise you I will find it. But it was basically there's not enough people going in the trades. Article was dated blank, 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 1968.
Yeah, right.
So we've been talking about this forever. But I think it's still a problem. And you're right. The guys who are tonning it are definitely not handymen. They're plumbers. And so that's why I became a handyman. Oh, God. Marty, why'd you bring that up, buddy? I'm hurt now.
Well, the other issue, the biggest issue, I think, is the culture. So we all know, Gordon Gekko, movie, lots of white collar money, lots of action. Where's the blue collar version of that? Where's the, Stanley's Millionaire Next Door version of a TV show or any kind of cultural expose of people doing well and kicking butt, making money as plumbers, electricians, carpenters, steel workers, HVAC. It's not there. It doesn't exist. So that, unfortunately, the general public gets conditioned that that's kind of a path where you're not really going to make very much money. And the military, all these guys coming out, the first thing they're thinking is, I want a corner office and, white collar job and, 6-figure salary. And what do I got to do to get that? How do I get that brass ring? Because they don't even know this other world kind of exists.
Right. And yeah, you're exactly right. And I'll tell you exactly why this is not going to be a good movie. Because if you are a good HVAC or an operator in the home services space, your life should be pretty boring. Unfortunately, it's the people that we're beating out there as good companies that make the stories really good. But you see them on Bad Guy, with that Cops. What's the show? Whatever.
I don't know.
The dumbasses they get. But Wall Street, they sensationalize the Gordon Geckos of the world because it seems sexy. But in our world, what's sexy is boring. And it works. It really works if you do it right. You have a home life. You get to see your kids. You get to go to their baseball games and coach them and do all that stuff. So keep preaching. Amen, brother. I love this.
Marty, tell it what's the typical person that you're serving? I mean, what's their story?
Do you have what it takes to start your own business? Are you tired of the 9-to-5 corporate job and ready to make that leap into entrepreneurship? Then you need to check out From the Zoo to the Wild, the new book by successful entrepreneur Chris Lalamia. This book is a unique perspective on the journey into the wild world of home services and delivering excellence in service while working in customers' homes. Lalamia shares his path to success in this industry, including proven customer relationship strategies, award-winning customer experience processes, and a unique approach to training a team of service technicians to perform at the highest levels. Whether you're a small business trying to scale or a franchise operation, From the Zoo to the Wild will give you the mindset, habits, leadership style, and customer-oriented processes to succeed as a small business owner in the home services space. So if you're ready to take control of your future, get your copy of From the Zoo to the Wild today, available on Amazon.
Well, for the most part, what we're looking for are people that were in combat arms. And we say that on the site, kind of who we serve section of the website. I wasn't getting choked up. I was just coughing.
We'll have Cindy cut that. She probably won't. I'm
She
kidding.
won't.
And the problem is, when we looked at it, we analyzed this, besides the underserved kind of niche that we're addressing, everybody in the military is kind of aligned into two different functions. They're either the tooth or the tail. They're either the people that are shooting, dropping bombs, flying in attack vessels, platforms, helicopters, whatever it is, or they're making sure there's enough beans, bullets, the money is flowing for their paydays, the whole support element. So when you go into the military, you are taught a vocation. If you're not at the tip of the spear, you're taught supply chain management. You're taught how to repair vehicles, repair jet engine aircraft. You're taught all kinds of medical, you become a medic, all these things that it may not be what you want to do for the rest of your life, but at least you have something, right? If you're like I was, if you do 20 years as a Navy SEAL and you walk out, it can be a cop. You can go back into the federal government in some law enforcement capacity, but you're starting from scratch, just like you just walked out of high school or walked out of college. You don't have any actionable skills in the real world. So that's kind of what we're focusing on. That's who we're trying to attract. And right now we're doing it through word of mouth. So we're getting, Marines, Green Berets, people that are pretty obvious, low-hanging fruit from that definition of, the perfect profile. And anybody else that's looking for help, we do this. We have a network. We've vetted all these other organizations that do other things. They get housing for veterans. They get educational support for veterans. There's even one that for paraplegics and quadriplegic veterans that teaches them how to scuba dive and then takes them off the Gulf Coast of Florida and for that experience. There's something out there for almost everybody. TBI, traumatic brain injury and PTSD. There are funded programs around the United States where they will put your family and you up in a hotel, full week, sometimes longer than a week program, sleep studies, brain mapping, all kinds of things. And most veterans don't know about this. If that's what the need is when they come to us, we immediately direct them to a hand and glove turnover and can we stick to our knitting after that?
I like what you're doing when you come to this. So how long have you guys started this program? It looks like you just started it pretty much this in 2025.
It's about a year, almost 2 years now.
Okay.
So we've been functioning for about a year. We were putting things together and building the whole thing last year.
So talk about, you came out, obviously, well, you actually discounted. So I came out with, as a SEAL and I had no actionable skills. So I'm like,
20 years as a Navy SEAL. And like,
yeah, I disagree, big guy. I think you had a lot going for you, big. You did a great job.
But he brings up a good point. The people I mean, can you imagine? I think about it's sort of a adjacent story, but I heard President Bush, the second one, when he stopped being president, they asked him, "Why do you oil paint?" And he goes, "You go from going 1,000,000 miles an hour to zero." And he goes, and so I looked around at other people, and Winston Churchill did the same thing, and he started oil painting, and so that's why he started doing it. But you think about these men and women who, I mean, their life is so intense, and they're the tip of the spear, and they are so relevant, and their every moment of their life is so alive to just like all of a sudden, okay, how do I fit in society again? I mean, it's an unbelievable shock that I can't even imagine. I would assume. Is that what we're dealing with?
It is. The other thing we boiled down to our slogan, believe in you, with you capitalized, the purpose piece that you kind of hit on there. You have a purpose when you're in the military. You have a very defined purpose. You have a well-documented purpose, and everybody around you and everybody below you and everybody above you in the entire organization knows what your purpose is. And the thing is, they help you, they train you, they prepare you because they want you to be the best at what you're doing. Because nobody wants one guy who's a mechanic on a helicopter to really stink if they're going to get on that helicopter every day. Everybody wants everybody to be the best they can be. And in the combat arms, like in the SEAL teams, they used to say when I first came in, you go with what you got when the phone rings. So it's kind of like, there's no, it's like the way the UFC is now. It used to be you had all this time to prepare and all that, now they call up, you ready? You got 5 days, make weight, get here and fight on TV. That's how the real world is for the military. And because of that, you always know what you're doing matters. And you always know the people around you are trying to do the best they can to cover you and vice versa. And you have kind of, bigger aspirations. You have missions. You're obviously doing what you're doing for, God and country and life and limb and all that. You step out, that ain't there. You step out and nobody's doing anything for life and limb. I often talk about one of the jobs I had. At about 5 minutes to 5, it sounded like the Indy 500 out in the parking lot, because all the cars, 200 and something cars, they'd all start up because they were that close to sliding down the dinosaur and getting the hell out of there. And then we had about a third of the population were military guys.
Fred Flintstone reference.
Yeah,
I love it.
sorry,
That's one of the guys of the podcast.
Oh my God, the Fred Flintstone. Well done, Marty. Well, we've all dated ourselves, everybody. That's right. You're getting great knowledge from Marty Strong. Slide down the dinosaur. If you don't know what that is, go look it up. It's a Fred Flintstone reference.
It's how he leaves work every day.
So you got to be helping people just accept the fact that the people around them aren't the best of the best anymore.
Correct. And there's no distinction in the best of the best, whether it's the tooth or tail. And I was saying that before.
Yeah.
If you were not good at your job, and the guys at the pointy end of the spear are going to fail. They're going to fail big time. So everybody's got to do their part, right? And everybody has that appreciation, forwards and backwards. That's just not the way the commercial world's built. The commercial world is built. You're not doing it for God and country. You're doing it for your family. You're doing it for a lifestyle. You're working to go do other things that you want to do. You're not dedicated to the mission of the guy that owns the company the same way the guy who owns the company is. And anybody that's owned a company always hopes that their employees feel the same way they do, but nobody else in that company has everything on the line. Nobody else in that company has had the dream and then fought the battle, has all the scar tissue, and is standing there with a ragged flag and broken sword going, I'm still here, you bastards. And they didn't live any of that. Everybody in the military did. And then they get out and they can't, even when they ask the question, nobody can tell them what they're supposed to care about.
Yeah, that's got to be obviously I don't want to get into too much of the transition mentally, because there's a whole series of podcasts to do that. But going back to where you guys found that niche, I want to talk a little bit about, so you came out and obviously became a successful businessman and you got integrated back in society. And then you decided to do this and start giving back. you started to do it, but you didn't have the funding, and you had an idea. You're really an entrepreneur now. So tell us how you got this thing going, and how you're making this thing move.
Well, I've been an entrepreneur and been involved in lots of startups and small scaling companies as a CEO for PE companies, things like that. So I've been through, not so much begging for money related to donations, but begging for money related to rounds of investment capital. And it's the same song and dance. It's the same, and actually in the charitable giving world, especially in the veteran side, since we left Afghanistan 8, 9 years ago. All these organizations told me, all you had to do is just say, "Hey, I have a veteran need," and somebody would just stroke a check. Here you go. God bless you. But now they want ROI, they want impact per beneficiary, they want $200,000 in dry powder. I mean, these are all things you hear if you're pitching a VC,
Whoa.
right? That's what they're looking for. So anybody that has a significant amount of money has become very serious about this because there's a lot of need and they only have so much bandwidth and so much as far as assets and resources. So it makes perfect sense. But they want you to be in the business as a charitable organization for anywhere from 1 to 3 years with that many, tax returns and everything. So there's a bar there, which isn't much different than, the old saw about if you go to the bank with everything that the bank likes to see in a company, all your financials and everything, it basically proves you don't really need the loan.
Right.
You have to show that you're really healthy and don't need the loan to get the loan.
Is that why I got 9 text messages today asking me about, hey, you need funding, you need capital? I'm like, where the hell were you like 15 years ago, bro? Yeah, when I really
want to make payroll.
Yeah, so you're right. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's hard to find that money. So your business experience coming out and being through that's why I set that up. What has helped you guys figure out how to navigate that funding model?
Yeah, both of us. Pete's also a serial entrepreneur, and he's been actually in other spaces and other markets that I haven't been in, and vice versa. But the principles of basic business and basic management awareness and being able to pitch and explain a good story and why it matters and all that, both of us, we're kind of like two pistons moving in sync there. So now we've basically been lining up all the fundraising events. So we're getting ready to go into about a 5 or 6 fundraising cycle. And we've got GoFundMe campaigns set up and everything. And there's donation site on the website. So these are all the things we had to set up to get kind of the juices flowing a little bit. And we're also building a 9,000 square foot 2-story vocational training center.
And where are you building that at?
So we have a horse farm, about an 8-acre horse farm. Right, it's Wellington, so it's just 13 miles west of West Palm Beach.
Okay.
So that's
So
where
in
we have
Florida.
horses that.
I
Yeah,
mean, the reason I set that up is a lot of our listeners are all over the nation and all over
Sure.
the country and all over the world. So it's in Wellington, Florida, which is 17 miles west of West Palm Beach. South?
right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the home of polo for the United States. All the big polo grounds are here and everything. 2-story facility, anywhere from 15 to 18 veterans can stay in the second floor. There's going to be rooms, all that. It's all designed, ready to be built. We're probably going to do the not ribbon cutting, but the groundbreaking in January. And it's going to have a rec area and kitchens and all that stuff on the second floor. The lower floor is going to have a kind of state-of-the-art TV studio and a large conference room that we can do a lot of the business academy work out of. And then there's 3 other sections to the building: a woodworking shop, a metalworking shop, and a culinary kitchen, all of which are big enough to hold maybe 8 to 10 students, each one of them. So that's what we're building. That's kind of what we're pushing to. We have a 1,200 square foot facility right now, and it's rocking and rolling.
Can you talk about your personal experience? I mean, you were in the SEALs for 20 years, and then you came out, and you're facing the same transition at that time that you're trying to help these people. Did you have people that helped you, or was there a mentor, or did you have some skills before that you could rely on when you came out?
All right, so I didn't know I had some skills I could rely on.
There's a little wry grin on his face, by the way.
That kind of evolved. I was really good at planning. I was really good at leading large groups of people, coming up with lots of creative ideas and things. I was a briefer for Joint Chiefs of Staff and senior Armed Services Committee people. I went right into financial services, and they basically gave me a phone book, and a computer screen, and said, "Start pounding plastic, and find clients."
What year did you come out?
96.
So 96, you felt like the transition then is that somebody didn't help you with that transition to get out, or if they did, they were ill-equipped to do it, to tell you that, oh, by the way, you have a lot of transferable skills that are really going to be applicable in the business world.
Yeah, the program hasn't changed much.
Oh,
What you get when you walk out the door from the military, they teach you, you got to wear a suit and a tie, how to go through an interview, what a resume looks like. They have you take all the things you do and convert it to resume language, so that you'll kind of show that uh, you've got all these capabilities. But the problem is, if you're a general and you have $1 billion budget, and you put that in your resume, and you walk into a Fortune 50 company and say, "I can manage, and I have experience managing $1 billion budget," all they have to do is ask. I did this myself to a couple people. Here's a dry erase, then go up to the whiteboard, write EBITA, and then explain what the acronym means.
oh no. Yeah.
Or show me your whole chain of command and how you controlled, what your controls were for your cash flows, for all your money inputs, outputs, what's AR, what's AP. They don't know any of that lingo because they didn't do it. They had a whole division of people that all they did was that. They just had the responsibility at the top that if something went wrong, or they need to beg for more money, they might build a presentation or something. Totally different kind of dynamic. It's more of a bureaucratic authority than it is like a business authority or a corporate authority. So I get out and I don't know how to do the one thing that I absolutely had to do, and that was sell. They don't teach. I had an undergraduate in business and an MBA, and they didn't teach. I don't think there was 1 minute given to selling, the actual, act of it, the art of it.
So that's why you said, I'm going to take on this challenge. I'm going to go learn how to sell.
Well,
Isn't that interesting? You get all that education and they miss the one thing that you kind of need to do.
Right. Because, again, we talk about this all the time in business, right? Cash is king. But if you ain't selling, you ain't ringing the bell, it ain't happening, bro. You got to make that money come in. So cash is king, but but the queen is sales.
And we had a training salary for 4 months where we got all of our licenses and everything, and then you were on pure commission and fees, no salary. And I did that for 8 years.
And you did that because you could bet on yourself, because that's how you did you go into the military right out of high school?
Yeah, 17.
Yeah. So you're like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I'm going to bet on myself. I mean, I always have, so I will do it again.
Yeah, it was brutal in the beginning, and I had not assigned mentors, but I called families and friends. Hey, anybody know how to sell? Believe it or not, Pete was the manager of a car dealership. This guy that I'm partnered with now for Warriors Haven USA. And I called him up, and he sends me this big open book like Tony Robbins used to send out with VHS cassettes.
Right.
And it was like the guy in the plaid jacket teaching features and benefits. I mean, that was my first real sales training program, which doesn't work with high net worth people.
That's a great note, which doesn't work with high net people.
Yeah, the
oh my God,
approach
who was that plaid jacket sales guy back in the 90s? Oh my God.
WKRP in Cincinnati.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I can't remember his name though.
Oh, come on. That's another great reference. Oh, great pull.
All I remember is Les Nessman.
No, Les Nessman was, it was
he was the guy with the glasses.
Yeah. And with the box, but we all remember Lonnie. Well, at our age, we do.
That was the only reason why I watched.
So I called people. Like I finally got a hold of somebody who did sales, and the advice was nice, and it was accurate, but I didn't really get it. He said, "You're trustworthy, you're articulate. People are going to like you. They're going to buy from you. Just relax and just keep going out there and
being authentic, right?
Try
be
to meet
yourself.
people. Yeah, try to meet people that are qualified for what you're doing." And another guy dropped in, a vice president, one day, and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm starting a cold walk. I'm doing all 300 cold calls a day. I'm doing all this stuff." And he goes, "Let me give you a little tip. Find out where the money is. Go there and shake hands with it." And he walks out of my office. Well, it wasn't really an office.
God, genius.
And I thought about it, and that also was absolutely true. But it just sounds too simplistic when you're waiting for a formula or something. But yeah, so when I figured it out, everything took off like a rocket. But then I ended up with UBS after that.
There you go. I think that's great. Great. We talk about this all the time, Alan. You want to go out there and make money, especially it's a low hanging fruit. It's not a big financial investment. Network. Get out there, find the money, go talk to people. It's still a relationship game. I don't care what's going on and how many years it's been. We just joked about a bunch of old references, but even in today's world, it's still about people and knowing people, and you trust people and you work with people you trust and like. Right. So you got to get out there and then you got to believe in yourself.
Well, and it's a more and more valuable skill the more advanced we get technologically, and the AI, and people are siloed so much, and so you find somebody who's engaging and knows what they're talking about. It's pretty compelling.
Yeah, you got to have the digital / personal relationship. I still believe this. I don't care what business you're in. We keep talking about AI and what it's going to do, and every time somebody brings that up, you've heard me do this, Alan. I challenge everybody to say, "Well, give me one thing you're using in your business that is doing that," because just don't throw that. It's like saying, "Hey, the internet's coming." Back in the day, I think it still comes back to people, and you got to understand people, and doing that is going to make you more successful, even if that's not your lane. If that's not where you were successful, was that your thing? Did you feel like you were a people person to begin with?
I was a wallflower as a kid, but I think once I got a little rank in the teams, everybody has to teach, everybody has to train, be a trainer, and so I got comfortable standing in front of a group of people that would throw stuff at me.
There you go.
Because they're SEALs, right? So they're going to give you a hard time. But so you get kind of comfortable and confident in being able to communicate. So I got out of my skin a little bit. When I got out and started talking to people about their money, I was a little sheepish, though. I'd never really talked to. I'm from Nebraska. My parents never talked about their money. I didn't know any multimillionaires, so it was not normal for me to just sit down with Mr. and Mrs. Jones and say, "So, let's talk about your assets. Let's see if we can kind of inventory the assets. And what do you got? What do you got?" That was not a natural. It felt like it felt rude, and it felt like I was intruding, but that was what I was supposed to do. So there's a way to do it.
The way you tell the story, it's almost like I would say right now, your toughest SEAL mission you ever did and your toughest client you had to deal with at UBS, would you put them on par? I mean, I don't want to
no.
It's still crazy because you're putting your life on the line. But there's times
there were
you're
a
like,
lot of non-SEAL characters, senior officers, other services, things like that. Before everybody knew what SEALs were, and we'd walk in looking the way we did. We have a little longer hair, maybe a little longer facial hair, and maybe our uniforms wouldn't have any badges or rank on them. And I was stood up more than 4 or 5 times by Navy captains, Air Force colonels, getting yelled at, and you can't really explain why you're there looking that way. That was the way it was back then because you were unknown, and sometimes you needed to go to a base and ask for a plane, and they, "Who the hell are you?" We'll just call this number, and then they call the number, and they, "Okay," then you get the plane. But you have to eat all that first because nobody took you seriously because they didn't know who you were. Um, yeah, I mean those people were very hard to deal with. I don't know if I had any real rude or hard to deal with clients because I found out after about 8 months, because when you're new in any business, the old, how do you qualify a customer or client? You fog a mirror and just make sure they have a pulse.
oh, he understands my sales model now.
Yeah. And so you don't think about qualifying, you're just thinking about, racking up some scores by having, applications or accounts opened up, whatever. But eventually I had a real hard time with somebody, and one of the other financial advisors kind of overheard it. And when they left, he walks in and he goes, you don't have to take anybody. It's your choice. They're not paying you a salary. It's not like they're paying you to bring people in here. You get to decide the kind of people you want to work with. And you also get to decide the kind of products that you would like to work with directly, and those that you'd like the company to handle with their expertise. So
That's a big
went,
transition.
Really?
That's a big transition.
Yeah, 8 months in. Really? I don't have to. And so
it puts you in control. It puts you in control. Yeah.
Sounds like you had some great mentors coming out though that helps you navigate the business world, regardless of veteran or not veteran. So you've already laid in a number of things. Who was the one that really helped you on the path that really got you to where you are today?
There's a guy named Bill McMahon. He's part of Mosaic Capital. It's a private equity firm. I'd say for the last 15 years, he's been my main mentor. Citadel graduate, he was actually an officer in Desert Storm, artillery officer, and then went into banking. And I lucked out that in the portfolio that they had, he ended up being my senior point of contact, kind of like the chairman of my board. And I say that because there are other people, there's too many people to mention up to that point in my career where they're all like more technical mentors, not business writ large. I believe in try to apprentice yourself to whatever it is that you want to learn. You know, if you want to learn how to defuse a bomb, you go through a mall, you go through the town asking, and eventually you're going to run into somebody who knows how to defuse a bomb. You just have to have the humility to get out there and just keep asking until you find out the answer. So you can get some really strange, esoteric information and insights and help if you just don't care about, your ego and just ask people politely. So I was able to get lots and lots of help technically in business that way. But I was always a strategy guy in the Navy. And where I really started to get the strategy gene was dealing with the PE guys and dealing with specifically the guidance that I was getting from Bill. So yeah, and he knows that. He knows I think that way.
I mean, think about what he just said. McMahon goes from being an artillery officer in Desert Storm to being a banker.
Yeah.
I mean, that's from going a million miles an hour to zero.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, you definitely have to gear it back down. And then, Marty's already brought this up, find that new purpose. I think that's, the mental struggle a lot of these guys have to go through is that new purpose and that new fulfillment, in which we talked about a lot, is that's what we're all about, right? That's why we start businesses. That's why we have this podcast, Alan. We talk to people, and why do we do what we do? I mean, it's hard as shit. I mean, why did you start your own business? I mean, you could have just gone to a company, got the cubicle job, got the 401k, got the go down the dinosaur and fly out at 5:00 in the afternoon. But no, you want to see if you got what it takes to make it happen in business. So I think that's awesome.
Can you talk
Just want to
about
make one point real quick though.
Yes.
Sliding down the dinosaur is different than flying out of the dinosaur. So you get.
I have flown out of the dinosaur, Marty. I got that one. I have absolutely gotten shit right out, brother. Oh, business. Why do you have to learn so many lessons so hard?
They're all the hard way.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the vocational programs? And I know that, you do the white collar stuff too, but so what does that look like for somebody that gets in the program? How long, culinary, let's just take that for an example. How long is that program and what are they qualified to do when they're done?
Well, the three levels I described earlier, the first and second are really, one's experience, the next one's kind of a hobbyist level. Let's say you want to learn how to use a 3D printer, or you want to learn how to use a particular kind of lathe or a particular kind of laser. Or you want to be able to see how hard it is to forge your own knife, or you want to get into being an electrician and you want to know how difficult is that. That's the second level. You kind of get enough direct hands-on doing what you've asked to learn about, and you build some things and you learn the machines and the different methods for building those things with those machines, all the different tools besides the machines involved. And I mean, we had about $500,000 worth of just small tools, not even counting the big machines right now. So that may whet your appetite. That may turn you off. You may say, hey, I'd really like to do this as a hobby. I'm going to go make, bookcases and tables for a living, or not for a living, but for a hobby. And that's fine. That all works. The third level is where you're serious and you want to get into the industry of whatever we're supporting. On the culinary side, we've actually got Michelin level restaurants right now that are ready to take veteran apprentices. So they're going to give us a list. We've talked about it already. Of, these are all the tools. These are all the things that are in the kitchen that they have to be good at using. They have to be adept. They don't have to be a master or anything, but they have to know which end of the knife to use, right? And then the difference between all the different kinds of knives and all the different kinds of machinery you'd find in the kitchen, and also the flow. Most people, unless you've watched a lot of, documentaries or what do they call it, reality shows about kitchens. Kitchens are kind of like football plays. Every team's got their own little, method of doing things, and they don't have little blue and red lines on the floor to keep you from running into people. You have to know this stuff. So you learn all that, and you come in as a paid apprentice, but we have to prep you, and that may be a 3 or 4 month program on the culinary side. But we have people ready to take them in right now. We got the same thing on HVAC, electricity, and some other related trades. That this is what they want. They want people to know how to bend steel, cut various kinds of metal, certain basic levels of welding, but to a certain standard. They want them to be able to come in and immediately employ them, use them, and think of the other side about the purpose side. We want the veteran to come in and be a contributing participant, not just standing there. A lot of veterans, they'll get hired and they'll go in there and they're standing around, and then they'll wonder why nobody's giving them anything to do. Well, the problem is, the patriotism got you in the door, but you don't know how to bake the bread. Whatever it is that company does, whatever that organization does. So if you're smart, you humble yourself, you apprentice yourself and say, what's the lowest rung on this ladder? And I want to be good at that, understand that, and I'm going to work my way up. And then that's when, we talked about this earlier, that's when all these other skills that you had in the military, you're extremely trainable. You're able to retain both knowledge and also physical skills, and you practice them because that's the way you were taught how to do those kinds of things. And you push to a certain level of achievement. You don't just kind of do it and then that's good enough. You actually push yourself to be really, really good at it. You understand how everything around you fits in the whole. You realize you're not just the only thing in the universe. All these other things, other people rely on you to left you, right you, up and down. So you get all that already. You don't have to be taught that. That's not a mindset that has to be pushed into your head through HR classes. And then you know how to plan, you know how to lead, you know how to communicate. You usually can handle stress to a great level. But you have to be able to bake the bread. You have to be able to understand what a waiter does before you become a cook, and understand what the cook does before you own the restaurant or run the restaurant.
Do you provide anything for the employers on how to best take advantage of somebody who's got the experience that you're talking about coming into their organization, to just keep them busy and keep the process tight and that kind of thing?
Nothing written down. I mean, we've probably talked and recruited about 25 companies and corporations, and not all of them are in Florida. There's some that are in other states that are ready to. I mean, there's a company in Minnesota that makes massive kitchen stoves for big commercial kitchens, and they never have enough people to assemble these things, to build these things, and so they're just standing by. They want us to get somebody in that third level program and then get it to them up there, and they're willing to, these are not internships, these are jobs, but because they can walk in and they know the lingo, and they walk in and they know the tools and they understand the environment, they've got a fighting chance to actually get some traction.
All right, we're going to finish up here real quick. So what does success look like for you in this new adventure?
I would love to see the 9,000 square foot training center up, running, full, which would mean, anywhere from 15 to 20 veterans, utilizing all 3 levels of our program. I'd love to see at least 200 or 300 veterans in the academy that are doing various, learning various things about business. And we're teaching them how to find money, how to apply for money, how to scale, how to hire, how to fire. We've got one guy right now who's he's an Army guy, went to school and he got a PhD in physics, and he's got software that he's writing patents for. So we connected him with a guy that's written like 100 patents on unmanned aerial vehicles. So they could link, and he basically cut his learning curve, radically. So that's the kind of thing we'd like to see. We'd love to be kind of a beacon, and that people see us not just for these things, but also we will turn around and help refer them and get them to all the other possible sources of assistance and help that they may need.
Well done. Well, obviously you found your purpose even later. So you keep finding purpose, you keep doing things and giving back. And Marty, I mean, you said it on head. We always are learning. We always got to humble ourselves. We can't always be the big dog.
Well,
I'm trying. I do. All right. Who am I kidding? I try. But no, I love learning. That's why I voraciously read books. I listen to books. I shouldn't say read them. Mostly read them. Audible now.
3 times speed.
I do it 1.5. Just 1.5. That's all I can do. So, Marty, this has been awesome, man. How can everybody find your organization, what you're doing now?
You just go to warriorshavenusa.com.
.com.
It's all right there.
Warriors Haven.
USA.com.
Love it. All right, Marty, this has been awesome. All right, we got to go to our final four questions. I said I love books, and I am. We've talked about one of the books that I'm actually using with my sales team right now, and that's called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. I've read a couple other books. We've had a guy on recently talked about his real estate books, and he sent them to us, but they're not audible yet. So no, I'll read them eventually. And I've had another book referred to me because of the podcast. He says, you're going to love this book called House. And so he just gave it to me. I just got it in the mail. I'm going to start reading this. All the reasons that we call different pieces of the house, the words that we use, and where they came from. And I'm like, I'm so fascinated in this. So I've got the book. I'm going to get ready to read it. But
Like
Marty,
threshold.
exactly.
Yeah.
Why is it threshold?
And there was something about the threshing, I don't know, the straw or what.
That's exactly what he told me. That's exactly. He said, "Do you know why they call it a threshold?" I said, "Because
It kept the straw out of the house or something.
kept the thresh out of the house."
Yeah.
That's right. So, all right, Marty, what's up based on that leading? What's a book you'd recommend to our audience, the adventure team, trying to build a business, start a business, scale a business? Let's go.
There's actually a book called Scaling. There's probably a lot of books called Scaling. This one just came out about 12 months ago. I believe it's one of the guys involved with Plantier. And it's a technology guy that wrote the book, but it basically talks about all of the human and mechanical operational aspects of scaling. And I think it's really good. I mean, I've read lots and lots of books on scaling. I really recommend that. And I know Chris Voss. I had him come in and run that whole program from that book with my guys about
Nice.
9 years ago.
Really? Hey, man, I love an intro because I want to get him on the pod too. Dude, I love Never Split the Difference because one thing that I am is very emotional. One thing I am is very high strung. And one thing he talked about was bring it down. Get your late night DJ voice down.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh my God, it was so cool.
Yeah, Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse. That's what you got to be all the time.
Right? Oh my God.
Until it's time not to be nice.
Right? Until it's time not to be nice. Another great reference. I mean, he's hitting all my
bringing it.
favorites. Brother, we're in the same breath. All right, here we go. What's the favorite feature of your current home?
My office. This is where I'm sitting right now.
Why is that?
Because my wife helped build it. We just moved down here about 2.5 months ago. My dog loves it. We got a Yorkie sitting over here sleeping. Yeah, it's
Love
a
it.
little
Where'd you guys
sanctuary.
move from?
Virginia Beach.
All right, so can you see the beach from your house?
No.
Out in Florida?
Here? No.
Yeah.
Not here. No.
Yeah.
No.
No. Yeah, no.
I was
Yeah, no.
a 6-minute walk from the beach in Virginia Beach, but
Yeah.
I can't see it from here.
Oh, that's still cool. All right. We haven't talked about customer service a lot, but Alan and I are kind of customer service
Freaks.
completely love it. What's a customer service pet peeve of yours when you're out and you're the customer?
It's actually more of a managerial element of it. I hate when it's clear there's a lot of people lined up at the customer service, whatever the queue is, and there's one person that's been assigned that task. Like somebody hasn't matched, because whatever you teach somebody about customer service, line 10 people up that are staring at them, throwing knives at them, going like, what the hell, looking at their watch and everything. That means that nobody's problem is as important as my problem, because they're getting frustrated, and all that heat comes to that person. You do that a couple of weeks, the person they become a DMV employee. They don't care. So
You know what?
make sure
You
there's
talk
enough
about that.
people.
100%. You know what? A lot of times, and we ask this question a lot, we talk about the person in front of us. Oh, they don't care. Oh, they're staring at their phone. Oh, they're doing this. They're doing that. Well, you know what? That's a managerial problem. That's a leadership problem. That's a culture problem.
And I've been thinking about this a lot because it happens in restaurants all the time. And what it is they put the worst, most useless person in that job because all the other jobs seem to be more important. But the fact is they're setting the tone for the customer's experience the rest of the time. And it's like you can't afford to have a horrible person being the first point of contact with your customers.
And you know what? A lot of times it's not their fault. It's not the person we're sitting in front of. How many times have you called, they'll press 8 to hear a duck quack, press 9 to get your problem solved. You press 9. What's your number, sir? Oh, well, I already put that in. All right, what's your name? Oh, I already put that in. I can't see it. Okay. All right. Oh, I can't help you. I have to transfer you over here. It's not their fault. It's the managerial systems and processes that weren't set up correctly. So, You know, a lot of times, and we definitely want to take it out on that frontline one. And we're getting ready to go into the holiday season where emotions get very high. And there's one thing we all know about human beings: we're irrational and we're emotional, and so it's going to get really high, Alan. That's right.
Keep talking about yourself.
No, am I? Damn it! I'll be nicer. I am so nice to those. You know what?
Is that your New Year's resolution?
No,
again?
I actually never yell at the person in front of me. I said, you know what? Especially when I'm in depot, like, you don't want this, but I know people, and I'm going to go tell them how bad they are because you're great. They suck. All right, Marty, what is a DIY nightmare story? I love working on houses. I've worked on houses all my life. So I got into this business, but I have a lot of DIY nightmare stories. I have flooded shit. I have fired shit up. I have almost burned one house down. Didn't. Thank you. But these hands have shown you that I know how to hold a nail in my fingers as it goes through.
Yeah, my worst one's a little dated, but I tried to put little mosaic type tiles as a backsplash. And I thought I had it just right. And I guess it sunk a little bit.
Oh,
So my wife came in, and that was exactly what she wanted, except because there's so many lines in a kitchen, right?
And you're all
could
proud.
You could instantly see that, there was like a little bit of a left to right drift, and it wasn't a huge drift. You can take it like a micrometer, but the eyeball picks up this, the straight counter, the straight cupboard above it, and I tried to talk my way out of it. I tried to, but it sucked. It was a terrible job. And that was the last time she let me work on anything in the house.
Attaboy. You know what? You did yourself a favor, brother, because I keep working on the house. But I was going to tell you, that's where you learn that you can't use mastic, or you got to use mastic. You can't use big thin set, and you got to use spacers, especially when you're a beginner. But no, that's been awesome. Marty Strong, making it happen. He has done great things. Thank you for your service, Marty. That was 20 plus years doing what you did at the tip of the spear. Amazing.
Well, and he's still serving, so we appreciate that too.
Yeah, man. Moving down to Florida. All right. You're not going to hate the weather. You're going to like it a little bit. Okay. All right. New York's going to like it. Wife's going to like it. But love that you're going to make it happen again, making other people stronger, making us all stronger. Let's keep doing it. Get up that mountaintop. Go make it happen. Let's get back into our communities, make something happen. We're doing it here. Alan and I joined the Chamber of Commerce again. Alan dragged me in. Damn it. All right. We're going to keep doing it. All right. We got to go. Get out of here.
Cheers, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Small Business Safari. Remember, your positive attitude will help you achieve that higher altitude you're looking for in the wild world of small business ownership. And until next time, make it a great day.